Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Sewers Commissioners meeting. Today is October the 26th, it's approximately 6:30 PM. We're here in the Wareham Multi-Service Center, room 320. We're also on the Zoom link this evening, so we can hear you on your laptop if you like. The first item on our agenda, call the meeting to order, and I'll have a roll call, please.
Jim Gibberti, present.
Peter Dunlop, present.
Bob Scanlon, present.
Bernie Pigeon present,
Sandy Slavin.
and we have a quorum, and we also have a full meeting. The next item on our agenda is our meeting minutes. We have September 14th, September 21st, and October 12th available for acceptance. Anyone wish to make a motion?
Well, I'm hoping that we could have had a copy of what those minutes were here, so that everybody's on the same page.
You want them? I got them here, Sandy.
I have seen September 14th, and make a motion that we accept September 14, 23 as
Second.
corrected.
Motion's made and second to accept September 14th meeting minutes. Any discussion or corrections? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote, 5-0-0.
I've seen the corrected minutes of September 21, 2023, and make a motion we accept them as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to accept September 21st minutes. Any changes or discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote, 5-0-0.
I had seen a version of October 12th, 2023, and made several recommendations of corrections. I've not seen the result of that, so I make a motion we hold October 12th, 2023.
Second.
Until I can see a formal update.
Now, just to let you know, I was going over them today from the, using the corrections that you had given me, and the corrections have been made.
Well, I've not seen them. They've not been shared with me.
Okay, it's your choice, of course.
I would.
You made the
I
motion to
would-
pass on.
Yes.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right. Now,
Pass.
the August 10th workshop, I've asked for how many meetings to have it placed on the minutes agenda. We had them in our packet at the last meeting. We still have not had them on the agenda, so we cannot approve the August 10th workshop, which is very disappointing.
Well, the August 10th isn't on our
It's not on our
anyway,
agenda.
but I've made a note that it is missing, and the one that's missing is the workshop, not the meeting itself.
That's right. The workshop was in our packet at our last meeting, but not on the agenda, so we could not vote on it.
Okay, I'll make an additional note. Okay, then the next item is the Sewer Commission business, and there may be some miscommunications, but we'll go to Part B, which is Charles Lombardi, the O&M Consultants. The contract has been signed, and I was going to invite him here, but he hasn't met with Scott yet for the two of them to go over what the objectives are for his presence. So, but the contract has been signed by Derek, so we're ready to go. I'll invite him at our next meeting so we can meet him in person. Some of us have met with him recently, or maybe within a year or two ago, but I'd like to have him meet the entire committee at one time, and we'll also have Scott perhaps time also.
And when did the contract start? What was the start date?
Yesterday.
Monday.
This past Monday?
I believe so.
Well, that's what it was
It was
supposed to.
signed last, his date is October 18th, and our date would have been the 19th for Derek's signature.
Okay, so he's started working.
Yes. Well, I don't think he's been physically on site, because I believe he and Scott have just had a recent conversation, and they've set up a meeting, I believe, Monday, for the two of them to sit down and to work things out and familiarize what he is expected to do.
He's physically under contract. He may or may not have started.
Correct. The next item I have is discussion of the results of town meeting. I have the certification of the vote, because that had to be sent out to the SRF, is that the right acronym? Wow, that's
Yep.
to certify that we have voted and we're within the criteria of October 31st. And I must say, I was overwhelmed by the vote, almost unanimous with, I think there were two squeaky chairs that made the mood up in the back, but it was very close as compared to what we experienced at the special town meeting. I think people started taking an interest. We had at least 4 versions of our info commercial, as I will call it. We ourselves were working around. Bob worked on Swift Speech people. I was over in the COA talking with those people, and we had other friends around. Norma from a finance committee, and we have someone from Buzzards Bay Coalition, and some friendly articles from Wareham Week. And thank you. I want to thank everybody's effort in doing this. It's really, we work hard and we get the results we would like. And I think the community came around and understood what we were trying to do is try to build a base for our future. Okay, any comments? Geez, I turned the mic off and everybody's very talkative and all of a sudden, nothing.
No, I was happy with the results of the town meeting. It worked out well.
It did. I think everyone started understanding because of the GHC had gone with about, Mark, I think that was the 4th version of the presentation. And as it evolved, we were going from these units were breaking down and needed to be repaired or replaced to how much it was going to cost us to replace them. And they were more interested in the value they were going to get from it. They understood. 20 years old, yeah, they break, anything and everything breaks down. Okay, the next item is a discussion and vote of a contract of Fiera, which is the original bid to do Swift's Beach. And when it changed and we deleted the grinder pumps and the like, and retained the gravity system, we canceled the contract, and there was a petitioned article that went through town meeting that effectively did that. But the contract, the winning of the bid of the contractor had begun expending expenses on behalf of that original contract. And there's a clause in there which gives him the right to apply for reimbursement for those expenses. And the amount of it was $10,451.68. And I would,
I make a motion, we approve the payment of
I thought we
$10,451.68.
did this once.
No,
we-
Oh. We didn't, had not heard back from the
I'll
attorney.
second that motion.
68 cents.
any further discussion? I've run this by our town council, Rich Bowen, and it's his opinion, yes, it meets the criteria, but on top of it all, it's such a trivial amount that it would cost more to challenge the 10,000 and try to get more than it would bother just taking the 10 grand. And so I have the invoice and everything, and it's ready to go, and and I have a motion. Any further discussion or comment?
My only question is, what account is it coming out of?
That was an answer, coming out of the,
Derek's
probably,
Petty Care.
if we had it, it'd probably come out of outside contractor, or the bid itself is from retained earnings. So, and we also
We
have.
cancel that.
Beg
We
pardon?
cancel that one.
Yes.
So it's no, we can't use it. We voided that
We
article.
went for the 6 million after that, because, no,
The
that's a
6
different one.
million was Narrows.
No, that's the Narrows, correct. I didn't get any specific amount, but for the $10,000, we have several accounts. It could be on the outside contractor, could be from expenses, but it's only 10 grand, and I'm sure we'll find it somewhere. Are you comfortable with that, Sandy?
I would prefer to know which budget line we're taking it out of, if you could provide that to us. I'm going to approve payment, but I'm going to ask for the actual funding source, because I don't want to overspend at the end of the fiscal year, because we didn't accommodate this one.
Okay, I made a note to get you the budget line. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote, 500. The next discussion of the rates in EDU and usage. I had one or two people approach me at town meeting after it was over with, that they would like to see us move forward to a usage rate system versus the EDU. They think in terms of it's more equitable. And if you'd like, we'll actually start inquiring of the water department if what they may need, or if they're interested in helping us do that.
How long ago did we start this?
I was gonna say,
10
just
years
for
ago?
point of
It wasn't just
information,
this
this has
meeting.
been under
No, I know.
discussion. We have met with the water department, both water departments, and basically got turned down.
No,
Now-
answer was okay.
Answer was okay, but then they changed horses.
And I think I've had,
There's a letter floating, I think everybody may have a copy of it, that went to Michael Hartman from the Sewer Commissioners Board of Selectmen at the time. And Michael determined in that letter that yes, it could be done and we could do all of that, but that's where it died, as far as I know. I have no information about whether they pursued it or not. Now we're on board as sewer commissioners, and so now we've tried to resurrect that with not knowing that letter existed. Got turned down by both at this point, and so now we're back on that horse again, as we should be, to follow through with the water departments and see if we can get them on board and be able to do essentially what Martin indicated in his letter to the Board of Selectmen.
I'd like a motion to indicate that we as commissioners should pursue the usage
I'll make a motion for that,
with the
and
water
after that,
department.
right from day one.
May I have a second?
Second?
I'm going to be clear, there's nothing on the agenda that talks about a vote.
You're right, they're in. I apologize.
So I think this is just, yes, I agree that we should continue this. I don't think a vote is needed.
Okay, well, I accept that, Sandy, thank you.
Fine with me.
That was one of the issues that they brought up on the
On the
open meeting.
discussion end of it,
The phraseology. Beg your pardon?
on the discussion end of it,
Yes, we're just gonna.
we've paid an engineering firm to come up with a number. And that was Ty and Bond?
Tie and bond.
Ty and Bond up in Westwood. And I've asked Guy 100 times for that report. He has it, but we never saw it.
It's been discussed many times that it was coming, we never
It's
saw it.
coming, yeah, and it's never come. All right, but they did a study using 3 years of the water rates to come up with their number.
Tie and bond, huh?
Flashed the number to us, he would not say it in
Open meeting,
open meeting, but it was scary.
yes.
Okay, it's
So I
cost.
would really like to see that engineering report, to see the formula that they used to come up with that number.
Okay, I made a note. When the previous director, a guy cleaned out his office, he supposedly left all those reports there, and Scott has told me they're in a bookcase, all lined up and everything, so I'll find it if it's in there. If not, I'll call Ty and Bond.
It's well over, what, 3 years old, 4 years
Oh,
old?
more, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the first things we talked about when I joined, and that was
Yeah, then it's
4 or 5
6
years
years
ago,
old.
yeah.
And Jimmy and I went up to
Time flies when you're having
Bond.
fun.
12 to 13 years old. The report from Ty and Bond before we gave up the sewer commission thing.
There's a report from Ty and Bond after that happened.
Well,
Yeah, well, so there's two of them out there.
If it's still out there, I'll find it.
So it might be hieroglyphics.
But you remember how to do that, Peter?
Yes, I do.
That was first grade.
Bernie, can I ask you?
Certainly.
We can't hear you.
Okay, I'll speak-
No.
I will speak louder.
Nope.
The microphone's right there.
Christ.
Now, Alan, you brought her.
No, I was forced to bring her. There's a difference.
Make sure the green light's on.
I'm red and green colorblind, so don't know. Back around 2008 or 9, up until probably 12, was able to meet with both water departments and got an okay originally from both of them, which we ended up, after the sewer commissioners, some board of selectmen went to the sewer commissioners. It didn't take more than less than a year, I believe, Peter, before we lost both of them. So if you want, it's up to you, if you want a request from the chair of the Board of Selectmen, if she'll allow me to help you, I'll be happy to go back and with my connections to both those particular entities and ask if they'll reconsider.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we did have a yes from both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, discussion of the budget. The reason I brought that up is we have about 4 months before the warrant comes out and on the annual or even a special town meeting. There's been some discussion, the possibility of taking some of those issues that we see as being needed by the plant or the collection system that could possibly move over and become part of the operating costs. And so that we would have it ongoing versus one at one time. There was nothing, no particular issues have been referred to, mentioned it, but it seems a smart accounting if we can do that, because we can fund these through the operating system. As an example, I use the police department. One of their operational lines and expenses is the purchase of vehicles, because that's something they do every year. So part of their operating cost is replacing some of their rolling stock, their consumables per se.
Okay, can you try this again? There's a discussion that taking some of the possible, capital line items and
Yeah.
moving them, capital line items and moving them to the operating budget.
Yes. It's something we have to get out of the box and start thinking more broadly about the potentials we have or the possibilities to maintain something on an ongoing basis. We have things, I'm not sure if we could include the lining of it constantly, but it's something we need to do, and something once we do the whole system, we have to go back and start over again probably. It's one of those issues, they start with Mr. Menard with municipal maintenance when they go to covering or blacktopping his highways. He gets about $1 million a year from the state, costs about $1 million per mile, and he's got 200 miles. So if we starts doing one a year, when he finishes, he's gonna have to start over again.
So are you thinking something like the repairing of the manholes
Yes,
as a constant operating expense, which means we would be increasing our operating budget to cover some of those capital items? And I'm thinking that the draining sewer line.
Well, those are
The ones that you bump over
lining-
when you go down
lining
Main Street.
lines, doing the manholes, and both of those, we're under kind of an edict from the state to do both of
Yeah.
those. So that's something that's not a wish list, it's something that's a need list.
So we would be increasing our budget to accommodate some of those as operating expenses.
yes. Any further discussion on that issue? The next one is our outstanding borrowing. We have what we did Monday night, as well as what we did in the special. And we have something, the Narrows pump station that hasn't come out yet, that the bids were supposed to have been open October 12th, and I believe the people involved, that is to say, the bidders, potential bidders, had some questions, which is part of the process. And so they pushed back the opening of the bids to, I think, early December. And-
December?
Yes,
If you look at the RFP on the town website, it talks that the bid has been extended until December, as opposed to the end of September. So there's nothing being done until we get some bids in.
it's not unusual.
You know what the questions are?
No.
But if you take a look at our outstanding borrowing list, there are some projects that are about to finish and end, but they're small dollars compared to what's about to go on.
Yeah, if you go over time, from FY '24 to FY '28, FY '24, we're scheduled for 1.4 million in principal and interest. In FY '28, we're only scheduled for 693,000 in principal and interest. Total of about 720,000. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be sitting there, retained earnings or whatever. What it does mean is in the interim, we're gonna be picking up some debt.
So what we have for debt is the 9 million we approved for Swiss Beach and the lining of the Narrows, that's 9 million. That's about to go on that list.
The Swift Speech one, yes,
The
that,
3 million
it
for the
is, yes.
Swiss and the 6 for the Narrows are about to go on that list, if we ever get it bid. Right?
right.
So
But if
people
we-
have to know it's coming, and that was about $80 a year, an additional EDU rate for those two projects.
Yeah, the Swift Speech was $84.54.
Pushing the Narrows back is scary.
Yes, it
We've
is.
already been through this once and had to raise
Yeah,
what we were looking for.
wasn't sufficient.
Now we're pushing it back again.
And-
We're not gonna have the money to cover it.
Not only that, but
We're gonna have to start this whole thing over again.
we are risking it failing.
Well, not that and the fact that the one that comes in from Onset is the same age.
Well, the Narrow Swift was 9 mil and it's all been approved.
Yes,
Yeah, so that's
but
on the
it's
book.
not in our budget line, it's
No.
not in our
No, they haven't borrowed it yet.
principal and interest line yet, but it's coming, just like the 36
Yeah.
million will be coming.
It's coming in, I
3
think it
years?
was FY '27.
3
It'll
years?
hit.
Okay, so it's $80 for the 9 million, for the 9 million we approved, plus $40 for the 36 million. I don't understand why. It's cheaper interest in principal, but the idea is that, hey, EDU rates, they're gonna go up. We have right now 3 projects that will put $120 on our users' plate
And I remember
in the future years.
I asked the question why 9 million was so much more expensive. I got the answer, and I've forgotten it, I apologize. But I'll ask again. I mean, it sounds reasonable, I remember it sounded reasonable, I was finance committee at the time. My apologies,
Are you gonna share it?
He doesn't remember.
but I remember it, yeah.
Oh. Just forget
My
the
brain
whole...
cells are aging, it's like the rest of me.
Just like your computer, the retrieval.
Yeah, 'cause yours, I looked you up, your cells are older than I. Okay, next item on the agenda, they put together the list for the connected to sewer, my apologies.
Yeah, I know Jimmy got it this morning.
Well, Jimmy got the big version, I had to make a more manageable one.
Right.
Now, this is as of what date?
Ten 2010.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, because what I had that I asked for several months ago, I had one dated February 23. Now, one of the things I asked for is that Guy had an issue of some property down on Murphy, which was a connection with the one single family was done as a duplex, and he said that there was an issue. My response was there was absolutely no list of anybody on Murphy Street on this not connected to sewer yet. And I'm trying to find out why all those connections on Murphy Street are not included.
see.
And I'm seeing this, and they're not included. So we know we have some locations for hookups that are not included in this document. So we are going to be hooking people up which we don't accommodated in our proposed total usage, which says, are there others other than Murphy Street?
So we're missing Murphy Street? You
Well,
think there's
Murphy was the only one because Guy complained about a single-family, one connection was being done with a duplex. So there was, hookup was being accommodated as one EDU, and he says, hey, there's two homes here, so it should have been a two EDU, but I can't say anything because it's not on here at all.
The second one was coming off the same lateral?
Yeah, they're duplexes, they're together, so there's two units coming into one stub. But it's not, so my question is, I'll ask it again. What other stubs are not included on this list that have not connected? And I asked this back months ago.
Bertie?
Well, I know Christiana was doing this last week. I interrupted her and asked her to do our minutes, we said instead.
And one of the things that,
Bertie?
Yes, John?
What's Scott's last name?
Yes.
Okay,
Kay?
Yeah, Brad Henson.
yep.
no,
Evening meeting, I was gonna let him in.
okay.
Okay.
I just want to confirm that I want to get the correct.
Yeah.
One of the things that was done on the February list, and I can see it on this list, is that at that time, letters were sent out. And on this list you have here is unknown address, not deliverable, refused to pick up. When are we going to go after them again, and how come we can't get a decent address for someone who's paying taxes in town? Undeliverable, not picked up. I just, I'm,
Well, you're a commissioner,
yeah?
make a request when?
What?
Make a request, well, you would like by next meeting or something of that nature, have that list approved to answer those questions. You can make the motion to do that, you're a commissioner. Wanna do that?
You really, I thought everything had to go through the chair, that we could not talk directly to the employees. Did I
If
misunderstand?
you make a motion to, through the chair, through me, to ask that question.
When
All
you
right.
say undeliverable,
The ex-
what's that mean?
Means the address is
My
correct.
understanding, when this says undeliverable, they couldn't, nobody picked up the letter from the post office. Undeliverable. As opposed to something was received or something was refused, they went to people's homes and they refused to sign. You'd have to talk to Mr. Campina as to why this was done.
I'm not doing that.
I mean, this goes back to reports from 2022.
Well, can we possibly work with the tax department and get it included in the tax bill?
Well,
Work with Mr. Foster?
they're not connected.
They're just not connected. they're
So
not-
what do we,
But the property's being taxed,
yeah?
okay?
Sending a tax bill
So
somewhere.
can't we put the notice in with the tax bill?
We wouldn't have proof that it was delivered. I think all this went out registered letter.
Yes.
But it's hard to believe, I mean, I go back and I said this was all done in 2021, and there's been no action on it. I really do think we have to be a harder stand
I
for those
don't
that
know
have
that
not
that's a
connected.
true statement, okay? I don't know that that's a true statement. I'm glad that some of these people are the same, and that is true, but we have made progress
We
on
have
getting
made progress,
things connected.
but
Now, the undeliverables, that's another story. We haven't gone after them specifically, but tried to track them down. Now, if you want to take the time to do that, that's fine. It just seems to me. Well, you're basically going to have to go back to John and see if he has anything there on the tax basis for these. Now, if it's undeliverable, could mean they're just not taking it. It comes registered, so they're refusing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then it's undeliverable.
if you have one undeliverable, it seems reasonable that if you're gonna send another one out, it's undeliverable, but return receipt requested, and John's up.
But part of it, it says something here was not picked up, which means they knew there was a registered letter waiting for them, and they chose not to pick it up.
Well, so you,
That would be, that might, where's Roosevelt Street? Is that Nauset?
go to their
No.
house and ask them.
It should have an address as to where it is.
Well, it's Roosevelt Street.
All right, all the way over on the right on that line. What does it say?
Oh, Briarwood.
So it was part of the Briarwood project. So all the way over on the right on this
So
document is...
Briarwood, they get delivered. Once it's the post office, you have to go
Yes.
pick it up.
Yep,
That's what I was getting at.
oh. But
But
to me,
Cremisa is also,
Delivered.
so
that's delivered.
this is what we have, is that we have projects that have been completed for how many years, and we still don't have Rosebrook connected. We don't have Briarwood connected. Oakdale and Cremisa not Parkwood not connected
Yeah, these areas were done
years ago.
a lot of years ago.
But I believe there was an issue with the contract the homeowners signed that had an issue that didn't make them do this. There was an issue with the contract.
Can you expand on that?
Only that there was someone, I've been told that because of the contract that homeowners signed, there was nothing in there that mandated a hookup. I'd have to go back to the contract we signed when we got hooked up.
Doesn't Mass General laws require within so many years after a
5
main
years.
goes past the house?
It
No, that's local.
depends on what contract the homeowner signed, so.
Well, I wouldn't suggest that their contract supersedes Mass General laws. Scott?
Hey, I have a list on my desk of must hook up. If I could get the map and parcel, we could then cross-check it with the address and then go determine whether they were on the must hook up list or at least what their bedroom count was and determine if so I guess the question is, there was a duplex put up on the property versus a single home. Now, they were also on a area where they were supposed to hook up and it didn't. There was a betterment paid and then it's supposed to be a hookup fee plus EDUs after that. So the question is, were they on the must hook up list or not?
Do you have an address?
That's the question. I can get a map parcel to get an address, and then I can cross-check with my staff in the morning.
You might,
Anything more specific, Sandy, to give Scott more specific direction?
Jimmy has his hand up.
Pardon?
Jimmy has his hand up.
Jimmy?
I have a question on the duplex being put on where there was a single-family home.
Can you be closer to your mic, please, Jimmy?
I'm sorry, my question is, if you're gonna have a duplex put on the positioning where there was a single-family home before, the single-family home was accounted for in all of our calculations. A duplex is not. Now, with a duplex, we're talking two-family. And to me, it almost begs that we have another betterment charge also.
Well, I believe
I think
that was
that's-
one of the issues
but we-
with Guy with that property down on Murphy Street. He was quite upset that a single-family hookup became a duplex off of Murphy.
We have more than that around. But yes, I understand that. The question still begs, is there a betterment associated with that? That's the question that needs to be answered. I think that's probably something that's going to have to go to John.
Yeah, Jim, I think the
Yeah.
betterment would have been for the one parcel
Right,
And you're right, we could expand it to each side of the duplex.
right.
But we need to, I think,
I think we need to clear with John for legal.
better. But I think we're all on the same page. I think
Yeah.
our concerns are valid. Guy's concerns were valid, and what you're bringing up is valid, but we need to confirm that those concerns are all valid, and then move forward from there.
I agree. Thank you.
Hey, anytime.
Yes, Peter?
And I'm sorry, there, I literally, if I could show you the sheet that I have, it shows only a Zoom meeting. And I had, otherwise I'd be there with you.
Sure,
That was a
that's
little-
what you say now.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
can
true,
say
it's
it because you're
confusing.
way over there.
Yeah. For some reason or other, I don't know why, it got deleted when the agenda was made up, and I didn't see it and catch it in time. One of the many errors we have.
That's right, yeah.
Try to correct, yes.
What I have.
So we're gonna work on it, right, Bernie?
Got it after the change was made, because I called into the,
That was being done because I wasn't supposed to be able to make it.
I had called into the town clerk's office asking if I could make another addendum, because this was 4 of them that we had to make.
Can we go back to these not connected and I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so if it is a mass general law, who enforces the fact that they didn't connect within the 5 years?
I think within the bylaws that you and Bob are reviewing, the enforcement is within those laws somewhere, and we are
So it's up
exercising.
to us to enforce it?
No, it's up, within those bylaws, I believe there is an enforcement ability. And I was asking the two of you to evaluate which law it is and how do we enforce it, because we haven't been exercising our ability to enforce those laws. But
Well, if they're not connected, and
In the
it's been,
microwaves.
and if they're not connected, and it's been the 5 years, wouldn't the Board of Health step in because their septic system should be condemned?
that would be answered in our bylaws, or Mass General laws, and that's why I've asked the two of you to evaluate those, find out why or how we can
Yeah,
enforce
how do
those.
we enforce this,
Yes.
or are we the enforcing authority?
No, because the enforcing authority would have to be someone who is deputized by the selectman to do so, because he would have to have the ability to enforce whatever bylaws, not specifically just to the, one enforces those by the sewer department. So I think your evaluation of those, because in addition, in the charge of the two of you to evaluate those is if there isn't any power within those bylaws to enforce these things, we should have introduce a bylaw to allow us to do so, or explain in some way in which we can enforce these things.
Well, you keep coming back to the bylaws. It's a violation of the Mass General laws.
Which, of course, then, but it's still, we have to
Who
go through it.
enforces that?
We would enforce those things locally.
I
Yeah,
think
the
he's
health
trying to get it more,
And we would have to have an
who's
appointment.
we? That's your
How to be a
question.
Town of
constable?
Wareham, through an appointment of an enforcement
This
officer.
was gonna,
So we call the constable?
I
or
don't
the
know,
health
this was
department calls the
to be
constable?
my next topic of conversation with Rich, the enforcement, yeah. And I didn't get a chance to do that today. But,
But I mean, there's a huge list here. Are there houses on all of these?
There's 2 lists. There's a list of vacant ones that have no hookup, and then there's a list of homes that have not hooked up.
And there's also, I believe, and I could be wrong, but
So
if I
are you
believe-
saying this 49 is homes?
Which,
No, the 49, I believe, is,
not connected to the sewer.
49 are not connected to town sewer, and they are property. There's 7 vacant lots that haven't been built, sorry.
Forget the vacant lots. I'm talking about, are
There
there
are
homes on these
49,
49
there are
homes?
49 structures that have not
Okay.
been connected
So
to towns.
that's where the violations are. And not so much interested in the properties.
No.
Because if they don't have a home on it, they're not subject to the 5-year rule.
Because if they start building now, they must connect.
Within, yes,
Yes,
because they
yes.
wouldn't have a septic system. They wouldn't be allowed to put in a septic system. But who would not allow them to put the septic system in?
Board of Health.
Board of Health.
Well, they could have I'm not sure.
That's why
I would
I'm
speculate
wondering
for-
exactly where the authority lies.
Yeah, no, I could only speculate that perhaps, but there's so many not connected here, perhaps they can extend a waiver. I don't know. That's why we have to look them up.
There's
Yes,
a,
Jimmy?
The question I have would probably be for Mark. But, when we put our numbers together to determine the moratorium, it was based on the number of potential places we had? Or was it based on the actual numbers that are connected?
it's my understanding it
In
was
other
based
words,
on the
does- do we-
stubs
do
that
we
were,
have we included this 49 not connected to town sewer
It was-
under our numbers?
it was my understanding it was based on all pending stubs that will be connected, which is why I'm very upset
So
that
then-
Murphy Street
so
is
then
not
what-
included.
So then what you're telling me is these 49 are already accounted for?
That's my understanding.
Okay, that's all I want to know. You know, it's just,
When you say accounted for, you mean,
in the moratorium.
okay.
In our potential
Is,
total flow.
excuse
In
me.
other words, if we can force them to connect, we can handle it.
Hold it, Peter.
That's my understanding.
Hold it, Cindy. Let's get,
So I'd actually like to just have a
Excuse
cop,
me, Mark Drinklevy
Sorry.
from GHD.
sorry. I'd actually like to just have a copy of that because we've been getting, the list that's in the memo that we did was coming from Guy, so I'd have to cross-reference them, okay? I'll have to get back to you on it.
oh, yeah.
'cause I-
Yes.
Not a problem, it's
That was
just
put
it's a
together
question.
within the last 2 weeks, I believe.
No different than what I got in February.
Well, it sounds like we should drill down on this and really determine who needs to hook up, who has the right to hook up, and how many EUs we're actually missing here.
Yes.
Yes, you can start with Murphy Street. There's at least 8 missing.
I mean, we've just got to,
Yep. I think just give us a list if you have questions, and then we can determine what's out there already. If Murphy Street's on there, great. If it's not, then we should determine why.
Now, the list we're working with, Scott, is the one Christiana made up, I think, last week or the week before. She was working on it.
okay, from the sounds of things to me, this is going to be in your lap, Scott, to give us some information on where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, I
before we
can't.
go forward.
Jimmy, you'll have to speak into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Damn it, I keep
He's
forgetting.
talking to the screen.
I like the screen, I mean, it didn't answer back.
I could hear him just fine.
Okay,
And you're gonna shoot them now?
yeah. No,
I'll duck.
you're obviously gonna have to look at this and make an evaluation of it for us, because we don't know, and we'd like to, try to solidify this a little bit better so we can move forward on how we're gonna enforce it, and where we have to enforce it.
But what's good about this is that I don't know, so we can only check the records that we have in writing.
Right,
So I will be able to report to you exactly what we have in writing and what we have confirmed, and then determine where to go from there.
exactly. Yeah, but
he was tied up in court. and this
whatever that's convenient, so we can move forward with this at some point.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you,
Any other discussion?
sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
At the last meeting, you had a list of people who had requested hookups, and you were going to share it with us. I have not seen anything.
No, he said we would take and start one.
No,
Wait a
there
minute,
was
what
a, li-
context are
you
you
said you
referring
found,
to?
you found a list of people who had requested hookups that we did not know about. You said you found one,
Yes, I recall that. My apologies.
and I don't have it.
My apologies in the stack.
Neither do I.
That would be on my file labeled moratorium.
Yes, and I noticed moratorium is not on the agenda.
No. My apologies, it will be on
No,
this week.
smart, keep it off.
Okay,
Okay,
anything else?
no.
Okay. And I had skipped over an update from GHD on the outstanding projects. So Mark, can you update us on what you're doing, since we certainly put one to bed?
So I guess there are two active projects right now. One of them is the tail end of a construction project that is over 99% complete at this point.
And which project is that, please?
It's called the Phase 1 upgrade. It includes denitrification filters and an equalization tank. And that is largely complete on the site. We're cleaning up paperwork, operation and maintenance manuals, and things like that. The second project is the Phase 2 project, which was the subject of Article 26 of the town meeting. Where that project stands right now is we submitted an application to the state on October 12th or thereabouts. It's essentially a loan application that goes into the SRF program, and it's under review right now by the SRF program. They will respond to that within the next month or month and a half or so, and they'll request additional information, and that should be buttoned up by end of the year or January or so. And then once they have completed that review, then they'll provide authorization to go to bid. So that might be around February timeframe. So that's the approximate upcoming timeframe with that project.
Now, the CWMP, you have at the end of the year?
Correct.
Is that a definite?
Yes, yes.
That's a draft, anyway.
Yeah, there'll be a draft that we'll submit, and, there will be discussions that will have to be, had once the draft is submitted, but yes, yes.
It's one of the requirements to be eligibility for the grant for the 36 million.
Yep.
Any questions,
I have a
No?
question.
Andy?
I recently found out there was a project down there for stormwater. To a different location. I didn't hear it listed as a
Stormwater.
project.
It's part of the Phase 2 project, which was the subject of...
Phase 2 or the Phase 1 project?
So, are you referring to the recent RDA? Is it that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You came before
Yep.
Conservation and said we want to discharge our stormwater someplace else, and I had not heard of it.
Yeah, so that's part of the current design. It's proposed as part of the current design.
Phase 2.
Phase 2, correct.
It's clarifier headwords and stormwater. Anything else in Phase 2?
Any other components of? There's an alkalinity feed system. It's a chemical feed system.
And how's that, is that part of our contract for Phase 2?
Yes. Yes.
What else?
I mean, those are the primary
Okay.
pieces.
As I
that-
said, I don't want to be
yeah.
surprised again in Conservation that something being brought forward that,
Yeah, so if you'd like, I'd be happy at the next meeting to explain the stormwater, but all we're doing is kind of deactivating an existing stormwater basin and sending stormwater over to another active one.
you're moving you're moving the stormwater from where it's collecting now to where that's where the clarifier is supposed to go, to another location behind the D-night filter location.
Correct.
Which is I believe it's a line basin.
Not where we're
Not where-
proposing to send it, no.
But it is
It's,
there
it's,
to collect stormwater and let it seep into the ground.
that's correct. That's what it exists as right now, and we're going to be sending more stormwater there, but the basin is large enough to handle
To
that.
accommodate.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Anything else? No, very good, thank you very much, Mark. The next two are, we'll start with Grazilla, and I put down possible vote only because there was new information, and I think, Scott, you spoke with somebody regarding this. I spoke with Brian yesterday also, just before he was boarding a plane for Europe, and the paperwork, I've copied everybody, and I think it sounds fantastic, but can you give us your point of view on it? Because I understand it's, has a device with our name on it somewhere?
Yeah, so they have an existing system built in Minnesota. They would like to move it to our facility and store it there. At this point, if we choose not to go forward with the project, they will then remove it at their cost, deliver it at their cost, and remove it at their cost. So where we have the real estate, I said, okay, we can put this thing on site, but I need to know more about what the byproducts of this system will be. In other words, I need to know that when the system doesn't work as planned, they're not going to discharge high concentrations of BOD to the headworks of our plant, making our system not work to permit. My job is to make that system work to permit every day. So if their system breaks down, I don't want their system to impact our system. So we can all work in great synchronism, but if their system breaks down, I don't want to affect our wastewater plant or our discharge permit, which is what they're hinging their profits and investment on. So I told them they can deliver the product, but we're going to need to talk about what their byproduct will be. So that's how I put it. And because we need a heated facility for the winter for our vac truck, I asked them to remove the existing Greasilla system from its current location so that we can park our vac truck over the winter, because previously apparently we were parking it at Tremont Nail. There was a facility there, but that's been leased out, according to Dave, the DPW director. And so we can't put it there. There's no room at the barn, the DPW station, and we don't have a heated location big enough for the vac truck right now, which means if we really got a blistering cold, we could damage that Vector truck, which is worth $500,000, and I don't want to do that. So we're looking at multiple options, but currently I'm trying to leverage what Greasilla wants to invest and accomplish with what we can accept and what they're willing to do up front.
And what is the impact on the project we've already approved for that biofuel?
So the biofuel is part of that project. If Greasilla comes on and provides them with what they need with the broken down grease to make the biofuel process work. So it's two steps. The Greasilla is going to break down accepted grease that we bring into the plant. They get the ticket cost of them disposing of grease, whoever comes in. That grease then gets processed by their Greasilla system to then go to the biofuel people to turn into biofuel, basically biodiesel, which all sounds great. But if they get a bad batch of grease, I want to know what's going to happen to our system, your system. What's going to happen to your system?
So this letter we have from Brian Levine is really part of that CF Tech project?
Yes.
Because it doesn't mention it any way, shape, and form in this letter. It just says we're going to get rid of Greasilla, and I'm saying, well, wait a minute, we need Greasilla for that biodiesel project. I guess I got confused as the timing.
Yeah, so what we have is Greasilla Stage 1, like the version 1 of it. So, you know, Lotus Notes versus Microsoft Windows. So we have Greasilla 1. They're going to bring in, at their cost, according to them, Greasilla 4. And supply the biofuel people with what they need to make biofuel.
Okay, so the biofuel project is not going to happen until we get this new equipment coming in from this company, Dow Ridge Environmental Company.
And that is my understanding. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but that's my understanding because they were going to work with each other to determine where each other's product can rest on our property to serve each other properly. So as far as I'm concerned, they are a partnership of some degree. And we are a third partner in that, again, if their system breaks down, we will at some point receive some potentially very disruptive flow. But I want to know what their plan is to prevent that. So when I talked to Brian, he wants to discuss it more. I'm happy to discuss it more, but those are my concerns for your plan.
Can we have a presentation from this?
Did you get this?
We had it.
Yeah,
I downloaded, okay. That is,
but that doesn't help the public.
I understand that.
That's right.
Any other questions regarding this? Did you see it?
So long story short, at this point, there's no cost to us for any of the activities that are about to happen.
And Brian was reaffirming that concern as far as cost was concerned, because I reiterated that in the beginning of the conversation that we had with Guy, subject to this issue, it was no cost to us. But perhaps we had to drop a power line out there, some electricity?
Yeah, so again, where we say no cost, it's low cost, but still minimal cost. And we will make that up in the long run because they're going to share the ticket cost with us down the road, according to the plan. Again, I'm looking for a place to store my Vector truck, which for the cost of a dropped electrical line, and then removing some very heavy components from an existing garage, there's a good trade-off there.
So currently, Greasilla is not being used. We stopped using it because of the sludge issue.
Beyond sludge, we were getting the wrong grease, and we had nowhere to put the biofuel that we were creating based on my knowledge of the events.
So Greasilla is not being active right now.
And has not been active for at least, to be clear, the 2 years that I've been there.
Good old Greasilla.
Well, you know, the idea is fantastic. The byproducts of glycerin are very expensive and lucrative, but the system has to work properly, and you have to have the right, just like anything else, you have to have the right product going into it. Not to be crude, but as far as data or anything else is concerned, you get crap in, you get crap out.
So basically, bottom line at this particular point, we're looking at providing space for them to put in a new Greasilla, up-to-date model. They're going to accept the grease. They're going to run the program. They're going to pay all the expenses. They're going to develop some kind of a product that comes out of that that's supposedly saleable and that they can work something off of. At some point in time, we would get a percentage, a dollar amount back from them for the byproduct they produce. The concern we have right now is the byproduct that they will produce that has to be handled, and whether or not they're going to try to put it back into our system or if they have a way to dispose of it themselves. So essentially, once that question is answered, we really don't have any involvement in this thing other than providing the space for them. Is that about right?
Jim, if anything different than what you just said is outside of what you just said, then that's where my problem comes in.
Right.
So I don't want any of our staff involved.
Right.
I don't want any upset to our plant, and I don't want any large investment into this program. And I want to make sure in the end that we get some portion of the ticket fee.
Right.
And I'm going to add one more thing to that, Jim, that list, is that when they start creating that biodiesel fuel, it is then put back into our generators to run the project. That's what they said, that they will provide the fuel needed for the generators out of their output.
So to that end, to be clear, I'm on board with you 100%. However, let's let someone else try their product before we do.
Thank you.
But I am 100% on board with everything you just said. So we're all squared away.
Yes, Peter?
Scott, I understand that we have a tank full of grease that was supposed to go into Greasezilla. What are
We
we
have-
doing with that?
75,000 gallon tank worth of grease that was supposed to go through the process. Two, I haven't measured them exactly, but I want to say two 10,000 gallon tanks worth of not fully cured Greasezilla product, and one tanker, probably a 9,000 gallon tanker full of bad product that Greasezilla produced.
So what are we going to do with that?
Again, we're going back to the Greasezilla people to make them remove it. We are removing these products, the bad grease, the tanks, the tanker truck, and I'm trying to work with, I'm sorry, who was it again that reached out to us?
Brian?
Bernie, was it Mark? Brian. I spoke to a Mark today too, but they want to make us happy, and I think my job is to make them make us happy.
Anything else?
See,
Okay.
it's my understanding that the grease we have stored is not the grease that will run through Greasezilla.
Yes, Scott?
You are not misunderstanding that. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna clear it all out.
Scott,
This is the
the,
grease the guy has been taking in over the period of years.
as Jim has outlined,
That's
as
right,
Sandy has
Greasezilla can
contributed, and as
Okay.
the concern
So we get tanks.
of Peter, the last meeting, we had 500
take it all
approving
out.
this, and we've outlined the conditions that we did that vote, 500, and at this point in time, it's in your hands, and we'll trust to make sure that you make a decision on the benefit of the plant.
Yeah, we want to stick to the conditions.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yep, as they've been outlined. Thank you. The wood chips project, for some reason or other, I've misplaced the paperwork. I have that. Can you outline that for us?
Yeah. So in a fantastic opportunity, they're planning to. I guess it's $275,000 is going to go to came from a grant to attempt to filter our secondary water at a defined rate through a wood chip filter and use that as a denitrification filter, which I can tell you can work. I don't know the rate at which it will work at. So that's what we're going to find out during the grant. With that, where they were going to install a pumping system. My thoughts in working with Sean Osborne and some of the other people involved, I want to take their construction money and utilize it to tie in our secondary treated water, which is what they want, to our plant water system. And in the end, I want to utilize the plant water system to feed their system for a set amount of gallons per day or gallons per hour, gallon per minute, whatever they want. But in the end, I want to utilize our secondary water for odor control at the plant, process at the plant, foam control at the plant. And in the end, we're going to take nearly 500,000 gallons a day off of our D-night filters, because currently we're using our final effluent at better than 300 gallons a minute. 300 gallons a minute was a low estimate, but 300 gallons a minute of our final effluents coming back through the plant and going back through our D-night filters and our UV filters, which means we could do a better job at both things with less product.
Was this the 275 from, what, CZM?
Yes, and there's another $25,000 or $40,000 to go to Little Harbor. I'm still getting up to date on all the names of places, but
The golf course.
Yeah, they're going to evaluate that for a package plan for that area to then create a reuse permit to then discharge the golf course.
And we already approved this wood chip project on July
October 12th.
13th.
October 12th, we took a vote. October 12th, we voted.
No, 7/13,
Oh, I had one on the 12th.
October.
Evidently it was voted on and won, so the grant has been awarded.
Right.
Excellent.
On October 12th, we passed over because Scott was not available. This was voted on July 13th.
Okay, thank you.
Was this the wood chips you're talking
The
about?
wood chips were July 13th.
Scott, excuse me, do you know anything about the wood chips program?
So, having done some other work at other times in my life, I've seen the secondary type water go through wood chips, and it will denitrify it. The question is, how big does a wood chip pile have to be, and how much water can you get through it per day, per minute, per hour, that kind of stuff.
And how often do you have to change the wood chips?
Exactly.
All those things are the things that need to be evaluated under this grant.
Okay, question that I would have
Microphone.
for you, I'm sorry, question I have for you on that basis. Do you think, strictly conjecture, but do you think that the wood chips could handle the effluent that would come out of the greasezilla? Would that be a potential?
Effluent of greasezilla, so the point of the wood chips is to remove nitrate,
Okay.
which is a nitrate water with high in nitrate. Nitrate is very stable in the environment. That's what people worry about.
Okay.
So greasezilla put out something with a very high BOD,
So the
Potentially-
greasezilla wouldn't be a,
loaded with phosphorus, but
Yeah.
not as likely to be high in nitrate.
okay,
So if you put pure greasezilla effluent into this, those are the questions that we need to ask greasezilla. What is the effluent of greasezilla going to look like that's going to enter our plant?
well, I only look at that because if it can go through there rather than through our plant, then is that a potential?
Jim,
That's all.
They're putting the cart before the horse there. We don't know if it can handle secondary effluent, less alone a very concentrated greasezilla effluent.
Okay.
But it's a question. I just think you're too far ahead. It would be a neat idea, though. That would be a great place to put the effluent of greasezilla. You're on board.
Hey,
I'm with you. I don't think that's what this was meant for, though. I can tell you that's not what this was meant for.
okay. All right, I wasn't sure, and I just threw that out there for and see if it's stuck. That's all.
It's stuck. It's stuck, but we threw it back at you.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? And I think what you're practically fulfilled, Scott, is your superintendent's report.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I wish I was there, but I would like to have given you like a PowerPoint, but a lot of what we're doing is working now with the DPW to address leaks that we're finding day by day with the camera truck. So we're scheduling leaks to be repaired, especially out actually near the Swiss Beach project, but there's a section there where we're receiving probably 2,000 gallons a day of influent that doesn't need to be there, on top of what's already broken at Swiss Beach, which is probably another 20,000 gallons a day. So the more we can limit our influent, the better we can.
Okay, Scott,
Give you-
where is that leak? What part of Swiss Beach is that occurring on?
I apologize, I don't know the exact name of it, but it's a lateral that goes out to the beach, and there's a vacant lot there. What happened, looks like the lateral got pushed into the main line, and there's a good-sized leak that at any time we're treating the ocean all day, every day.
It
At
could very well
2000
be Murphy
Okay.
Street.
It is.
Down the end of the beach.
Yep, where the new house is going in.
No.
No,
Past
where
that.
the old house
The big-
foundation was.
There's
Where the new house
New
is
house.
going in.
Okay, let's Scott. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Scott.
there's probably stuff going in. I would expect there's a existing foundation there. So yeah, there's probably something going in, but point blank, we need to fix that. Dave from the DPW has offered to help us and is excited to help us. He's going to move forward with us to fix a lot of different problems before bringing in third-party contractors. So in the future, when we find issues, we're going to address them as quickly as possible with the DPW. So that's a step forward. Every time we find a step backwards, we're going to try to make a step forward with it. We have lift stations that need a lot of help. The police station in general. Today I ordered 2 pumps for the police station. Right now there are 0. Evidently for the last 2 years we were running on 1 pump. That pump finally died, and we are pumping it out daily using our vac truck. So we're taking care of it, but again, it's one of these things that could have been avoided. We just need to work together. So the staff at the plant is going to install those pumps, wire them, and be able to maintain them.
Do you have those pumps?
We ordered them today.
Can we get an update on Wankinko and Swiss Beach?
Yep, I was gonna ask Bob.
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah, Wankiko is Swiss Beach. I met with Danny Warren and multiple contractors and crew out there last week, and the Conservation Commission agent. It appears that things are moving forward for a November start. What day November? I don't know yet, but early November nonetheless. And that is going to, my thoughts on that, it's going to eliminate at least 20,000 to 30,000 gallons a day of infiltration. When we opened the manhole there, it looked like a waterfall. Beautiful, clear water coming through, and none of it looked like it needed to be treated, but we're treating it.
Now, is that going from Swiss Beach to Bayview or all the way down Wankinko?
Forgive me, because I don't know all the names of the streets yet, but I can tell you the Wankinko, which is the manhole I was shown that we pump out of, going to where we pump to get it pumped out of. Where it's getting pumped out of is receiving clear water nonstop at, I would say, 20,000 gallons a day, minimum. So looking forward to getting that all fixed.
Well,
So
I guess my question
the
is,
one-
sorry.
the ones upgrading of Wankinko that I was talking about, which is in Swiss Beach, that's receiving 2,000 gallons a day, which is quite a few 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses. And then down the road from that, we're receiving nonstop water from a broken line that I'm looking forward to seeing get repaired.
My question is, the RFP was issued for 2.8 million for the Wankinko project. I was just wondering how long, you have Swiss Beach, the next intersection is Bayview. Then it goes down to several other streets down to Murphy. I was just wondering how long will this Wankinko repair go for the length? Is it the length of Wankinko, or is it only from first and second manhole and no further?
I set up a meeting
first
with Danny
section-
Warren
first
for
manhole.
Sunday. Oh, sorry, Scott. I set up a meeting with, between Danny Warren and the neighborhood. It's gonna take place at Voss Hall on Sunday from 2 to 4. He's gonna discuss all the details of the construction, Wankinko, or at least a part of it. I don't know all the details yet, but supposedly would be shut down for 2 to 3 weeks.
You mean shut down for traffic?
Shut down for traffic,
Okay.
which should not be a problem. There's not a lot of traffic down there right now. So, yeah, I'll update after Sunday.
Because I was wondering, that 2.8 million's a lot of money.
It is, I'm not getting any of it.
I was just wondering, is it going to do all the houses that we were going to put grinder pumps to, or just Wankinko?
I will have all the answers for you after
You're
Sunday.
shaking your head, Peter.
Strictly Wantico.
For the whole length from
No,
Swift's
just
to,
from Bayview to Swifts.
between the first two manholes. So,
Got it.
so it's not taking care of the leak down in Murphy
Correct.
for 2.8
And it's
million.
not taking care of, if Scott said, where you're dumping in when they do the bypass,
Yep.
that's coming down Swifts Beach Road. So it's not going anywhere near some of the I&I. It's strictly fixing the burst pipe.
Okay. So we don't have money to fix all the other homes that are along, that we were going to do the grinder pumps for.
130.
Yeah, so they're not being touched. Those
All of
gravity
those other
lines,
streets, correct.
they're n-
Well, no, that's not true. Now, there's
To
another
the best
project.
of my
that
knowledge,
works-
those lines gravity feed into Wankinko.
Yeah, they're going to be relined, but that's a separate contract.
but we don't have money for that separate contract. We only approved the 3 million to redo Wankinko from Swiss to Bayview.
There's two $3 million contracts.
No, there's not.
I don't think you're correct there.
Yeah.
We withheld one. We turned one
I think
back.
the 3 million is to reline the pipes.
Yeah.
I think Wantico is, they're picking that up with some sort of a government fund.
ARPA funds are using, which is part of the COVID.
So we only have one $3 million contract. What it does is still
Relines the pipes
Pipes.
on Bayview,
Pleasant,
Pleasant, Murphy.
Murphy, and
the
Wankinko from
other-
Murphy down
the
to
other
Vi-
part of Wantico.
okay,
But by the same token, according to what Scott just said, that doesn't do the manhole that, at the end of Swifts Beach Road, where he's getting all that inflow. That whole section's a nightmare. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. All of Onset's the same way. All down the beach.
Okay, Scott, I've got a note from you regarding the Arzon blowers.
Yes,
Were you able to get a quote for them?
I was. So currently, we are paying $17,500 a month for a rental of an Arzine blower, which does not communicate with our SCADA system. The purchase of this same blower is $25,000 down and $13,500 a month. So in the end, if we were able to pull the trigger on purchasing a blower right now, we could have it delivered in January after we would have already paid off one blower to begin with. Now, this one blower that was on site all summer functioned enough to give us enough dissolved oxygen into our aeration chambers and save $2,000 in electrical costs over that time. We have 3 blowers on site that will not work, that are supposed to do this job. We've tried multiple times to make them work. The contractor keeps, they work for 6 hours and then lose all the belts. Not 100% sure why. We're thinking control issues. We don't know. Regardless, we're gonna end up renting the blower we have on site till January minimum. If we were able to pull a trigger on purchasing the next blower, to go into place is $25,000 down, $13,500 a month for 6 months. So I'm trying to work with Derek at the town to determine what we can do, and then I've already got Doreen working out a RFP, so that we can put it out and make sure we do it in a legitimate sense. But I'm trying to save the town money. We're losing money every month.
Anything else?
I don't know what else to say. It hurts me physically.
Yeah, because I remember your comment to me a couple days ago was that the equivalent of our rental will pay for it in a matter of months, and we own it.
Yeah, so we'll have paid in rental what we could have paid to purchase by November.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to move this along to make sure that we can, make the best result for the town. But I know there's processes we have to go through, and yes, I'm very new to the game of town versus private, but I assure you I'm going to try to make this work in a manner in which I'd want my house to work. So.
Thank you. Any other concerns?
Yeah, any idea why the RFP for Narrows has been delayed until December?
Yes, because in discussions with the contractors, where there were so many questions regarding what the permits will require, we are trying to get some of the permits in place beforehand so that we can see the requirements, because otherwise those contractors may overestimate to the point that they'll go over the budget which we have set for Narrows. So in other words, we're going to try to get some of the permits for Mass Highway, Concom, the railroad in place to make sure there's no surprises for the contractors, because they're going to overestimate so they don't lose money. They're for profit, rightfully so, but they're going to overestimate on their budgets if we don't give them solid understanding of what's going to be required. So the delay is really to try to make sure everything falls into place as far as budget goes.
I just have one more question. Our moratorium, we're going to be putting it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
We had a list of approved sites that, prior to our moratorium, April 22. One of the things I have is, of these sites, which ones have been done, and is the GPD what we initially estimated? And 2, are there any projects on here that are old that we can take off the list?
So you would have to give me that list. I don't have.
Got it a while ago. You want me to send it to you again?
The list,
That'd be fantastic. You send me the list, I can cross-reference it with the water department. And, with that being said, with what's going on at Swiss Beach and the lines we're going to stop the infiltration of, I think we'll have plenty of room to make room for those people.
Including the list that we haven't seen yet of who asked for sewer hookup that we haven't granted. Right, Bernie?
That was a list I was apprehensive about using because I don't want to create a queue list because we have not established the criteria of who or what or why we would consider anyone to be overriding the moratorium to connect. Sorry, there's no list or criteria for reviewing or interviewing anyone who may have been requesting an exception to the moratorium. And to establish a list, I think, is.
But you
the
have a
place
list.
Well, someone created a list sometimes, it's the only reason, the only one I was working off of. And I have the list, and of course, to give it to you, it's public, it's not a problem with that. Just want you aware of the kind of list that it is and why I'm apprehensive about even using it. But it'll be, the moratorium, there's other questions regarding the moratorium that I have also, in that we do have to establish the criteria under which we would lift the moratorium. Bob, do you have any other information regarding what is going on at Swift Beach?
No, but I will on Sunday, like I said,
Where is that being held now?
at Voss Hall. It's
At the community center?
at the community center, yes,
With them? Good.
on Pleasant Street. Yep, 2 to 4 on Sunday.
Excellent. And in addition, I have from Wareham Week, there's an article, November meeting on the septic nitrogen limits. I think an awareness, obviously, we're on the other side of the house, the sewage versus septic, but an awareness of what is happening on that side. There's a public meeting on room 27, 2 p.m. on November 28th. Discuss the regulations for nitrogen limits in the town regarding the amount of nitrogen released into the environment from septic systems. As I said, I know we're in sewerage versus septic, but anything else?
Just thank you for that report of showing the nitrogen prior to our outfall and after our outfall. It was quite eye-opening. Peter, thank you for asking for it.
The thing is that all the nitrogen that's in the river isn't coming from the plant. And I think if we can prove that to the EPA, we might be able to
No, I thought,
discharge.
I thought I saw that report differently.
Yeah, you asked for the nitrogen levels upstream, not downstream. Downstream, they've already done a lot of testing, as you pointed out. In fact, the map indicates where the locations are.
Yeah, it's all upstream.
Buzzards Bay have done upstream above our outfall. So
And
they're
it's-
measuring the nitrogen that's coming to our outfall.
And that's very low upstream. I mean, maybe I misread the graphs, but it seemed very low on the
Yeah.
testing upstream, and you can see where it jumps when it tests downstream. Or did I misread those graphs?
That's how I read it.
You read it the same thing. You could see that it's a major nitrogen increase, even though we're within our limits, as opposed to what's coming down from the fish run by the Elks, where they tested.
They tested at the Cranberry,
Testing station?
the station, the Cranberry Test Station, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
That was my reading of the graph.
Any other concerns, questions? Sandy,
Just,
Jimmy, Peter? Okay, go ahead, Sandy.
nope, we talked about the RFP delay, we talked about, please make sure that the Narrows is put on the next agenda so we can talk about where we are with that. And moratorium on the next agenda.
Also on the next agenda, let's straighten out this abatement situation. I've spoken to people that we've approved their abatements, and they still haven't received any.
Is that a process for Scott to inform us on?
No.
Because it's that abatement processing, isn't it done within their,
Well, the thing is, we approve an abatement, they don't get any notification.
and who's responsible for that?
Oh, I don't know. That's
Are-
why I want to put it on the agenda so we can discuss it.
So I guess we asked Scott, is there anything that is done within the staff in your organization regarding abatement processing?
Let's discuss it, because I want them to know also that they're entitled to just request a check.
Yeah, but we need to know what's being done, we need to know what's being done today,
Nothing. That's the problem.
so no one ever gets a check.
Nobody gets a check because they don't know that they can apply for it. Nobody even gets a notice that says that we approve their abatement.
It's normally been a credit against their bill going forward.
Okay, we'll understand
So
the
maybe,
process next week.
yeah, maybe
Yeah,
someone
just
from
put
the
it on the
treasurer's
agenda,
office.
discuss it on the next agenda. That'll
Maybe
make
we
more
need
sense.
to talk with someone from Treasury.
That's the appropriate office.
Discuss it, and then we'll decide who we discuss it with.
Exactly.
But let's find out what the process is first.
I need to know what the process is today, so we can discuss it. Yeah,
Excuse me?
I need to know what the process is today. The answer is it goes into a hole and nothing is done.
I don't know how the
So I
process
need,
works.
who do you ask that of? So I can't discuss anything if I don't know what's being done today.
Well, go down to the top plant and find out.
I didn't hear that, Jimmy.
I don't know what it is, you know, all I know is that we approve it and it gets handled.
Therefore, discussing it without anybody at the table who understands it is a waste of our time.
The next thing we do is adjourn.
Okay,
Well, if we set a policy, then we can put somebody in charge of it.
Okay, the next agenda will have, and something I hope we be available, I could send out to you, so you would understand the current process. And we could discuss it based on that information.
I make a motion, we adjourn at 8 o'clock?
Second,
Motion made and seconded, non-debatable, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So vote, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.